He thought he was helping a hungry kid. No big deal. A free treat for a girl who had nothing. But that drawing? It wasn't just a thank you. It was a lifeline. And by the time her mother walked through the door, he was already part of something much bigger. Before we begin, drop a comment and tell us where you're watching from. And don't forget to hit subscribe for more stories like this. Let's begin. I was folding napkins behind the counter when she walked in, barefoot, hair tangled, and no taller than the freezer chest. I looked up, ready to ask where her parents were, but she just walked right up to the glass, pointed at the orange creamsicle, and slid something across the counter. A drawing. It was done in crayon, pink, purple, bright blue. It showed a popsicle, a stick figure man, I guess that was me, and a little girl with stars in her eyes. I looked from the paper to her face. Big eyes, dead serious. Like she truly believed this picture was payment. And maybe it was. I gave her the creamsicle. Her whole face lit up like Christmas morning. She didn't say a word, just nodded once, very polite, and then she was gone. Ran right out the door, barefoot on hot pavement. Didn't leave a name. No shoes. Just the drawing. I stood there behind the register, holding the paper like it was made of glass. Then I taped it to the wall next to the broken "Special Today" sign. Didn't think much more of it after that. Figured some kid had wandered over from the park. Maybe her mom was nearby. Maybe she wasn't. But the next morning, I found out exactly who she was. And that drawing? That was just the beginning. The bell above the door jingled at 8:07 a.m. I was half asleep, prepping waffle cones. Figured it was the bread guy. But instead, in walked a woman, early 30s maybe, dressed in yesterday's clothes, hair tied back in a way that said she hadn't had time to care. She was holding a folded drawing. "Are you the owner?" she asked. I wiped my hands. "Yeah." She stepped forward, opened the drawing. It was another crayon picture. The same popsicle. The same stick figure version of me. But now there were two figures holding hands. The girl and a woman. I looked up, and she nodded slowly. That was my daughter. My throat caught. "She okay?" "She's fine." She told me what happened. Said you didn't get mad. Said you smiled. I shrugged. Didn't seem like a day for being mad. She smiled. Not all the way, more like someone remembering how. "I just wanted to say thank you," she said. "We've had a rough month. Her dad passed last year. It's been a mess since." I didn't know what to say to that, so I just nodded. "I'm Leanne," she said. "We moved here 2 weeks ago, trying to get a fresh start. But my daughter, Sophie, she doesn't talk to strangers. Not since the funeral." The quiet hit between us like a wall. "You gave her a little hope yesterday," she said. "And she gave you a drawing because, well, that's her version of currency." I looked at her, then at the sketch taped behind me. "Well," I said, "it bought her the best popsicle we had." She laughed. The first real laugh of the morning. And then she said something I wasn't expecting. "I'm a graphic designer. Freelance. If you ever want help with a logo or a website or anything, I'd love to return the favor." Leanne showed up the next morning with 2 coffees, a laptop, and a look on her face like she wasn't sure I'd say yes. "Still offering free design work," she said, half joking. I pointed to the stool behind the counter. Wi-Fi passwords taped to the register. She got to work fast. In between customers, I watched her sketch out ideas like it was second nature. She had this focus, the kind that comes from working through pain. Like she wasn't just drawing lines, she was holding herself together with them. By lunch, she had a new name for the shop, the Sweet Spot. "Catchy," I said. "Feels like something people want to say out loud." She grinned. "It's simple, honest, like you." The next few days were a blur. She redesigned everything. Menus, signs, colors. Built a clean little website and added a line that read, "Free ice cream for kids having a bad day." My idea. She just made it look good. Then the local paper got wind of it. A kid paying with a drawing? They ran a human interest story with a photo of the new logo. People started showing up just to see the sketch taped behind the counter. "I told you art is currency," she said. Business tripled in 2 weeks. Kids came in holding napkin doodles, paper hearts. One even brought a macaroni sculpture. We gave them all something. For a minute there, it felt like the shop had purpose again. Like maybe I did too. But things that feel too good too fast, they usually carry a shadow behind them. And one morning, Leanne came in with that look again. "They found us," she said quietly. "My ex's father. His lawyers. He knows where we are." I didn't know much about custody law, but I knew what fear looked like. Leanne was holding a legal envelope. the kind with too many stamps and too much weight. Her hands were shaking when she handed it to me. Emergency hearing, she said. They're trying to claim I'm unfit. I scanned the letter. He's got a law firm in Manhattan? She nodded. His father's connected. Money opens doors. Closes them too. What happens if they win? She looked away. They'll take Sophie. That landed like a punch. She wasn't dramatic about it, didn't cry or raise her voice. But that quiet panic? That's worse. The kind that settled in. The kind that already knows how these things usually go. We sat in silence a minute. Then I had an idea. Dumb maybe. Risky for sure. But it came from somewhere real. I could make you a partner, I said. On paper. She blinked. What? Just for now. We file you as co-owner. Business license, taxes, utilities in both names. Gives you roots. Proof that you're providing for your kid. You do that. I'd do it for anyone who paid with a drawing. She laughed at that. Just a breath. But I could see it meant something. We filed the paperwork that afternoon. Cheap legal forms from the county clerk. Took all of 30 minutes. And 2 days later, we threw a community day, balloons, music, ice cream art station for the kids. Photos of Leanne running the register. Sophie handing out napkins. Me sweeping the sidewalk like I wasn't nervous as hell. We needed them to see stability. To see love. To see that this wasn't a woman on the run. This was a family, and they weren't going anywhere. The Monday after the event, I found something new taped to the front of the freezer. Another drawing. Same crayons. Same style. But this time, it showed the ice cream shop, with its new sign, the sweet spot, and 3 stick figures out front. One had a beard, me. One had long yellow hair, Leanne, and one with pigtails was holding both their hands. All 3 of us were smiling. I knew instantly who drew it. Leanne was wiping down a table when I held it up. She turned, saw what it was, and smiled that kind of smile you only give when your kid says something better than words. She said she wanted to make something that lasts, Leanne said. I framed it. Right next to the first one. That same day, a man walked into the shop. Khakis. Polo shirt. Silver hair. The kind of polite that feels dangerous. He asked for a black coffee, no sugar, and sat at the corner table without ever taking his eyes off us. Leanne froze. That's him, she whispered. Howard, your ex's father? She nodded slowly. He flew in. I walked over and asked if he needed anything else. He looked me dead in the eye. My son will win custody, he said. This little partnership won't change that. But you seem like a decent man, so I'll give you some advice. I didn't say a word. Walk away, he said, before you're pulled into something you don't understand. Then he stood up, left the coffee untouched, and walked out. Leanne didn't say anything, but her hand gripped the edge of the counter like she needed it to stay upright. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was afraid of some polished lawyer in a country club sweater, but because I could see it in Leanne's face. That kind of fear doesn't come from courtrooms. It comes from what courtrooms can take from you. The next morning, Howard came back. This time, he brought company. 2 men in tailored suits, sunglasses indoors, and the kind of posture that screamed retainer fee. I stepped out from the back, wiping my hands. Leanne saw them and immediately walked into the freezer, pretending to restock. Let me guess, I said. You're not here for sprinkles. Howard didn't smile. I came to make you a generous offer. I folded my arms. He placed a white envelope on the counter. $25,000. In cash. You dissolve the paperwork, remove Leanne's name from your business, and confirm she's not employed here. In exchange, no one digs into your taxes, your lease, or your personal finances. I didn't touch the envelope. She's a grieving mother, I said. You don't get to buy that away. She's unstable, he replied coldly. Do you know she's changed cities 5 times in a year? What kind of environment is that for a child? One where love still exists. He leaned in close. Do you even know who you're dealing with? I pointed to the door. I do. The kind of man who offers bribes when the truth doesn't bend. He stared for a moment. Then he picked up the envelope and tucked it back into his jacket. As he turned to leave, he said, You just cost her everything. As soon as the door shut, Leanne came out of the freezer, tears brimming but not falling. I'm sorry, she whispered. I never wanted to drag you into this. You didn't drag me, I said. I walked. She looked up at me like she didn't believe it. Like maybe no one had ever stood still beside her before. After that, things got quiet, but not in a good way. Leanne stopped showing up every morning. Said she needed to be less visible. Said the lawyer advised it. That it might look better if she didn't seem too connected to me or the shop. But I knew the real reason. She was scared. Scared that our closeness would be used against her. Scared they'd twist it into something it wasn't. So I ran the shop solo for a few days. Customers kept asking about her. One woman even brought Sophie another drawing to trade, some stick cats eating sundaes. I taped it next to the others, but the wall felt emptier somehow. Then one night, right before closing, I found Leanne outside in the alley behind the shop, sitting on a milk crate, arms wrapped around her knees, hoodie pulled low. She looked up, eyes red. "I'm losing," she whispered. "I've got 3 weeks to prove I'm stable. And now they're subpoenaing my bank records, my travel history, even my therapist's notes." I sat beside her. "What happens if they win? They'll take Sophie. Probably say I can visit once a month. Supervised." And then her voice broke. I don't even know if she'd recognize me in 6 months. I took a deep breath. "You're not alone in this," I said. "You've already done too much," she said. "No," I replied. "Not enough." She looked at me like I was out of my mind. So I told her my idea. "We hold another event. This time, you're front and center. You speak. You tell your story. We make it loud, honest, messy if it needs to be, but real. People care about real." She shook her head. "It's not enough." "It might not be," I admitted. "But it's better than sitting in the dark waiting to be erased." She was quiet for a long time. Then she nodded. "Okay," she said. "Let's light a fire." We didn't have much time. 2 weeks until the hearing, and barely enough budget for balloons and folding chairs. But what we lacked in polish, we made up for in people. Word spread faster than I expected. Parents, teachers, old customers, folks who had seen the story in the paper, they all showed up. Some brought their kids. Some brought cookies. Some just brought their quiet presence and let Leanne know she wasn't invisible. We called it art for ice cream. Kids brought drawings, and they got free cones. No rules. No expectations. Just something joyful in the middle of the mess. Leanne made a banner from printer paper and string. Sophie helped color in the letters. And when the crowd settled, when the music faded, and the kids were giggling over drippy sundaes, I stood up on a little wooden crate and introduced her. She stepped forward slowly, holding the first drawing Sophie had ever paid with. She didn't say much, just told the truth. Told them how she lost her husband too young, how she'd moved across 3 states trying to find peace, how her daughter stopped talking after the funeral, until one day, she handed a stranger a drawing and asked for a popsicle. And he gave it to her, Leanne said. No questions, no judgment, just kindness. Her voice wavered. That was the first time Sophie smiled in weeks. You could hear the wind rustling the napkins on the tables. She finished with this. "You can question my finances, my housing, my job status, but don't question how much I love my daughter. Because I've given her everything I have left." When she stepped down, the crowd stood up, clapped like it was something sacred. And when the lawyer showed up the next day with more paperwork, I handed him a stack of photos from the event. Proof of community, of impact, of love. And taped to the very top, Sophie's latest drawing, one of her, Leanne, and me, standing behind the counter, all of us holding cones. We sat outside the courtroom on a wooden bench that creaked every time someone shifted their weight. Leanne was wearing a borrowed blazer, her hair pulled back tight. Sophie clutched a stuffed dolphin someone from the shop had given her. I wanted to say something smart, something comforting. Instead, I just said, "You got this." She nodded, but I could see it. How much of her was barely holding together. Inside, the courtroom felt colder than it should have. Her ex-father-in-law sat with a full team, suits, briefcases, polished shoes. He didn't look at Sophie once. Their lawyer argued hard that Leanne was unstable, transient, unemployed, that her relationship with me blurred lines, that ice cream shop business partnerships were legally questionable and emotionally manipulative. Leanne never raised her voice. She just told the truth. She spoke of rebuilding, of grieving, of drawing a paycheck from the shop, of Sophie's drawings and the day they first came in, of how Sophie had started talking again, laughing again. Then the judge asked a final question. "What would permanent custody mean to you?" Leanne didn't hesitate. "It would mean I get to keep waking up to my daughter's laugh, that I don't have to lose the last person I have left." And that was it. No grand speeches, no courtroom outburst, just that. When the gavel fell, the judge ruled in her favor. Stability established. Employment verified. Community support recognized. Joint custody denied. Outside, Leanne collapsed into my arms, sobbing. Not loud, just the kind of cry that empties everything. Sophie hugged her tight, then looked up at me and held out another drawing. This one had a house, all three of us on the porch, and a sign in the window that read, "Open, always." It's been 6 months since the hearing. Business is still steady. The line outside the sweet spot sometimes reaches the sidewalk on Saturdays. We still keep the free ice cream for kids having a bad day sign right where it's always been, next to the register, below a growing wall of crayon art. People bring drawings from 3 towns over now. Sophie's are always at the top. She's gotten better at faces lately. One drawing even made me look 20 pounds lighter, which I appreciate more than she knows. Leanne still works here, but it's more than work now. We split the shop 50-50, officially, taxes and all. She still calls me her business partner. I still call her Brave. Some days she stays late, folding napkins beside me after closing. Sometimes Sophie colors in the back booth while we talk about maybe knocking down the storage room to build a little stage for live music, she says. I pretend I don't know what that "we" really means yet. But I know, and I'm not in a rush. Last week, a woman walked in, new to town, looked tired, and she handed me a drawing. Said her son had a rough day at school. I gave her the scoop for free. Didn't even look at the picture until after she left. It was of our shop, and in the corner, a little kid, smiling, a stick figure man behind the counter, and the words, scribbled in crayon. "This place saved my mom." That one went up on the wall too, right under Sophie's first drawing, and just above the one that started it all. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more stories that stay with you.